We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast. This is Abe, your host. I just got off work. It's 7:50 a.m. December 26, 2020. Had a pretty good day. Only had to work 6 hours, so I guess they order less around Christmas time. Work's been slowing down a little bit, so hey, if anything, that means for the listener, for you guys, whether you're listening on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Radio Public, or on YouTube, means more episodes for you all. But yeah, that's about it. I hope everyone had a good Christmas. Honestly, my Christmas, I just chilled out. I put a podcast out. So check it out, the last episode, if you haven't. It's pretty good, pretty weird. But yeah, that's about it. Let's get on with the show. This episode is actually breaking news, so it has to do with aliens, and I try to make each episode a different subject of something weird, whether it be ghosts, aliens. I try not to do too much of the same type of subject, but where this is actually breaking news, I found it quite interesting myself. Now, I am very skeptical. Well, quite frankly, I don't believe anything NASA says. I don't believe in SpaceX. That doesn't make me a flat earther, but it doesn't make me a round earther. I don't know what we're on. But this is a story that just came out about 2 days ago about an alien signal that came through. And I do believe in, obviously, radio signals. I believe in some form of signals, as far as like perhaps lower orbit satellites and things. Like I've seen those in the sky, So I believe in satellites. I believe we've made it into lower orbit. I just don't think we went past the Van Allen radiation belt. That being said, I do believe in astronomy, and I do believe in radio waves as far as like stuff like SETI, So that's just me. If you're a straight up flat earther, you're always welcome to the channel, but this probably won't interest you. But yeah, I try to be agnostic and, I don't know. Let's get on with the show. This is taken from Scientific American. Alien hunters discover mysterious signal from Proxima Centauri. Strange radio transmissions appear to be coming from our nearest star system. Now scientists are trying to work out what is sending them. This is an article I found by Jonathan O'Callaghan, Lee Billings on December 18th, 2020. It's never aliens until it is. Today news leak in British newspaper The Guardian of a mysterious signal coming from the closest star to our own, Proxima Centauri, a star too dim to see from Earth with the naked eye, that is nonetheless a cosmic stone's throw away, at just 4.2 light years, found this autumn in archival data gathered last year. The signal appears to be imminent from the direction of our neighboring star and cannot yet be dismissed as Earth-based interference, raising the very faint prospect that it is a transmission from some form of advanced extraterrestrial intelligence, ETI for short. A so-called technosignature. Now speaking to Scientific American, the scientists behind the discovery caution there is still much work to be done, but admit the interest is justified. It has some particular properties that cause it to pass many of our checks, and we cannot yet explain it, says Andrew Simeon from the University of California, Berkeley. Most curiously, it occupies a very narrow band of radio spectrum, 982 MHz specifically, which is a region typically bereft of transmissions from human-made satellites and spacecraft. We don't know of any natural way to compress electromagnetic energy into a single bin in frequency, such as this one, Simeon says. Perhaps, he says, some as yet unknown exotic quirk of plasma physics could be a natural explanation for the tantalizing concentrated radio waves. But for the moment, the only source we know of is technological. The detection was made by a $100 million project called Breakthrough Listen, led by Simeon and funded by tech billionaire Yuri Milner, under the umbrella of Milner's Breakthrough Initiatives. The goal of this multi-year endeavor, which began in 2015 with a star-studded announcement attended by Stephen Hawking and other space scientist luminaries, is to buy observing time on radio telescopes around the world to search the skies for evidence of technological civilizations. That pursuit, of course, is more commonly known as the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, aka SETI. To date, no such evidence has conclusively been found despite more than half a century of modest but steady SETI activity with any potential signals, almost always ruled out as originating from satellites orbiting Earth or other human-caused interference. If you see such a signal, and it's not coming from the surface of Earth, you know you have detected extraterrestrial technology, says Jason Wright, a SETI-centric astronomer at Penn State University in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, humans have launched a lot of extraterrestrial technology. The story of this latest SETI spectacle really began on April 29, 2019. When scientists affiliated with Breakthrough Listen started collecting the data that would later reveal the intriguing signal. The team had been using the Parkes Radio Telescope in Australia to study Proxima Centauri for signs of flares coming from the red dwarf star, in part to understand how such flares might affect Proxima's planets. The system hosts at least two worlds. The first, dubbed Proxima b, upon its discovery in 2016, is about 1.2 times the size of Earth, and in an 11-day orbit. Proxima b resides in the star's habitable zone, a hazily defined sector in which liquid water could exist upon a rocky planet's surface, provided, that is, Proxima Centauri's intense stellar flares have not sputtered away a world's atmosphere. Another planet, the roughly 7 Earth mass Proxima c, was discovered in 2019 in a frigid 5.2-year orbit. Now that I do have to say, being a conspiracy theorist and being skeptical, yes, they have like these high-powered telescopes, but I don't know anyone, and I doubt you know anyone who's actually been able to look through those things. I haven't been able to. I know that when we zoom in close enough with our telescopes, the stars like flicker and stuff, like they're like not even there. I don't even know how to explain it. Or the planets, I should say. They don't even look like they're land masses. So, I don't know. I'm skeptical. I like to play devil's advocate. Using Parkes, the astronomers have observed the star for 26 hours as part of the stellar flare study. But as is routine within the Breakthrough Listen project, they also flagged the resulting data for a later look to see out any candidate SETI signals. The task fell to a young intern, Simeon's SETI program at Berkeley, Shane Smith, who is also an undergraduate student at Hillsdale College. Smith began sifting through the data in June of this year, but it was not until late October that he stumbled upon the curious narrowband emission, needle sharp at 982.002 MHz, hidden in plain view in the Proxima Centauri observations. From there, things happen fast, with good reason. It's the most exciting signal that we've found in Breakthrough Listen project, because we haven't had a signal jump through this many of our filters before, said Sophia Sheik from Penn State University, who helmed the subsequent analysis of the signal for Breakthrough Listen, and is the lead author on an upcoming paper detailing that work, which will be published in early 2021. Soon, the team began calling the signal by a formal name, BLC1, for Breakthrough Listen Candidate 1. But yeah, I don't know. This article, I wanted to put it out on the channel and stuff because, I don't know, I'm a big fan of, like, obviously aliens and extraterrestrials. I've been an ancient astronaut theorist since I've seen my own UFO. I'll try to leave maybe a card at the end of the video. You can watch that video if you want. It's basically my 2 UFO accounts. But yeah, I don't know, and I've always been like a big fan of like the movie Contact. And honestly, like I don't know if you all have ever heard about the WOW signal. Maybe one day I'll do an episode on that. That's something that I've always been interested in. That and Nikolai Tesla himself has found a signal, and he believed that he was basically speaking to an extraterrestrial source, that they were communicating messages with him to teach him technology, you know? But I digress. The pique any SETI researcher's interest. A signal must first endure a barrage of simple automated tests to rule out obvious terrestrial interference. Hundreds of candidates, however, routinely pass this phase and are singled out for further investigation. From there, almost all will be dismissed as some mirage of error. Perhaps an excess of static, for instance. That fooled the winnowing algorithm, eliminating them from consideration as any sort of transmission from talkative aliens. Except this one, Sheik says. This reminds me, honestly, what they were saying right there about, I was listening to Art Bell recently, some old Art Bell episodes. And they caught a signal, I think, back in like 2018 or something like that, 2016, 2015, 16, 17, 18, within those 4 years before he died. And turns out they investigated it. Turns out like all it was a signal, a radio signal from too many people opening and closing their oven doors, and it caused radio signal. So it can be debunked like very easily from weird stuff like that. Revisiting the data from 2019, Sheik and her colleagues noted that the telescope had looked at Proxima multiple times in scans lasting 30 minutes over the course of a week. Breakthrough Listen uses a technique called nodding, quote unquote, where the telescope will spend a period of time looking at a target and then an equivalent period looking elsewhere in the sky to check that any potential signal is truly coming from that target and not, say, someone microwaving their lunch in an observatory's cafeteria. In 5 of the 30-minute observations over about 3 hours, we see this thing come back. Sheik says, a hint that the signal indeed originated from Proxima Centauri or some other deep source in that part of the sky before making its way to Earth. One might think, then, that the case would be closed, but while a natural cosmic source may seem unlikely, it cannot yet be ruled out, and the thinking goes, as unlikely as a natural explanation might be, an unnatural explanation such as aliens is even less likely still. Consequently, every member of the Breakthrough Listen team interviewed for this article steadfastly insist on the chance of this being anything other than terrestrial interference is exceedingly remote. So there you go. They're trying to cover up again. Which, I mean, I do try to look at things from a scientific point of view, like the planets and stuff have their own signals and sounds, you know? So, who knows? But I'm just a dummy when it comes to science, so I'm just a tinfoil hat kind of guy. The most likely thing is that it's some human cause, says Pete Worden, executive director of the Breakthrough Initiatives. And when I say most likely, it's like 99.9% is what he says. The rational skepticism extends all the way to the top. When we launched Breakthrough Listen with Stephen Hawking in 2015, Milner says, it was understood that the most rigorous scientific approach will be used to analyze all candidate signals. Milner, and seemingly all of SETI researchers, his findings supports fully expected BLC-1 to wither away under the project's now intense scrutiny, but just maybe it won't. For the time being, months further analysis are in store to definitely rule out other potential sources. And BLC-1 itself, while seeming to come from Proxima Centauri, does not quite fit expectations for a techno-signature from that system. First, the signal bears no trace of modulation, tweaks to its properties that can be used to convey information. BLC-1 is, for all intents and purposes, just a tone, just one note, Simeon says. It has absolutely no additional features that we can discern at this point. And second, the signal drifts, meaning that it appears to be changing very slightly in frequency, an effect that could be due to the motion of our planet or of a moving extraterrestrial source, such as a transmitter on the surface of one of Proxima Centauri's worlds. But the drift is the reverse of what one would naively expect for a signal originating from a world twirling around our sun's nearest neighborhood star. We would expect the signal to be going down in frequency like a trombone, Sheik says. What we see instead is like a slide whistle. The frequency goes up. So far, follow-up observations using Parkes have failed to turn up the signal again. with a repeat observation being a necessity to confirm that the BLC-1 is a genuine techno signature. If it's an ETI, it must eventually be replicable, because it's unlikely it would be a one-off, says Shami Chatterjee, a radio astronomer from Cornell University in New York. If an independent team at an independent observatory can recover the same signal, then hell yes. I would bet money that they won't, but I would love to be wrong. Nonetheless, it remains one of the most intriguing signals found by Breakthrough Listen, or indeed any SETI program, to date. One that Sheik compares to the so-called WOW signal detected in 1977. There you go, speak of the devil. Which some believe to be of extraterrestrial origin. I think it's on par with the WOW signal, she says. More likely than not, however, this is simply some previously unknown source of Earth-based interference. In a few months, we'll likely know for certain one way or another. But for the time being, it's never aliens, right? I hate that phrase, because if you say that, then why even look, Wright says. What we mean by that is that it's never been aliens before. So, there you have it. Let me know what you guys think. I always try to be hopeful, because I think it would be kind of cool if, there was aliens. And I know a lot of people have like negative experiences with them, but the two experiences, they were only negative for me as far as seeing UFO, because I was scared as hell, and I swear that they were trying to take my kid, my baby, for like, I'm not stupid. I heard about the abduction stories, so like, I was like, oh, they're trying to get the baby, but I don't know. I had some argument with someone the other day on YouTube. I was listening to Rogueways, and by the way, I love Rogueways. I'm not like, saying anything negative about them, so chill out in the comments. But she is of the mindset that it's all negative, and some dude said, yeah, and it was a live chat. The dude was like, yeah, just look at Fire in the Sky, watch that movie and tell me how positive that experience was. And I'm like, I pretty much commented back to the dude like, you realize that the movie was totally different from the book, and literally the guy who went through that had a positive UFO experience, an abduction experience. Pretty much the dude had like gotten hurt really bad because he was so like hypnotized by this UFO. So they took him on the UFO and actually like physically fixed him, like medically fixed him. And of course my comment got ignored. Everyone was just like, yeah, UFOs, aliens, they're evil. And even the host, I love her to death, but she was like, yeah, yep, exactly. Look at Fire in the Sky, That was a horrible experience. And like my comment got totally ignored, and I'm like, you guys like realize that Hollywood changes anything that is written, like Mothman Prophecies or any of the Conjuring movies. They take these actual events and stories and completely change them and ruin them, sadly. So it's like, yeah, actually listen to the author and the abductee's story and how he feels about it. He even said in multiple interviews, like, yeah, don't, like, you can watch the movie, but the movie made it into like this horror story, because Hollywood doesn't want a good UFO abduction story. Why would they? That wouldn't sell any tickets. So I love you guys to death, and I'm a roguester. I'm a fan of Rogueways, but open your mind, man. Open your brain. Like, at least do your research before you start spouting off craziness. And don't ignore me in the comment section, because I was fucking right about that. But Truth hurts. People ignore truth, I guess. I don't know. I love people to death, but sometimes I just want to smack people and be like, dude, research your shit. But we got a little extra time, so we will do a saint of the day like I usually do. Let's see, it's December 26th today. So let's see what today's saint is. Let me know in the comments, though, what you guys think about the alien signal. If you think it's legit, if you think it's real. If you think aliens are all good or all bad, let me know. I like to think that aliens are kind of like people. Like that would be, to me it seems kind of racist to say all black people are bad, or all white people are bad, or all Indian people are bad. Like we're just one planet with multiple races on it. So, and species of animals and everything else. So imagine like if I just sent a lion on a ship to a random habitable place with life forms, they would be like, oh yeah, earthlings are fucking evil, because the lion, as soon as I open the door, would just slay everything in sight. You know, to me it's the same thing, like with aliens. Like I would be scared to see a reptilian, but I don't think I would be super scared to see a gray, you know? Like there's positive and negative experiences, but sadly people only focus on the negative, you know? To me that's almost kind of like, well, that makes you a racist in a way. Like to just sum up all of alien species, that they're all evil, that makes you a racist. Like, sorry, it just does. Alright, but today's saint is Saint Vicente Lopez, born in 1847 and he died in 1890. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "Some of your hurts you have cured, and the sharpest you have survived. But what torments of grief you've endured from evils that never arrived." Undoubtedly, Saint Vicente Lopez would have concurred wholeheartedly with Emerson. In a letter to her mother, she wrote, "Come and stay with us, and your ills will certainly mend. Imagination plays a large part in them. And here there are so many distractions that you will have no time to think." Saint Vicente's advice to her mother is good for us as well. When we are busy, we have no time to worry and fret over evils that may well never arrive. Worry is one of the most insidious of all bad habits. When we worry, we feel like we are quite busy. After all, we are worrying. But worry is a sham activity. It drains our energy, destroys our hope, and leaves us with empty hands and aching hearts. When you are feeling worried, you have two choices. First, if there's something you can do about your worry, then do it. If, for instance, you are worried your snow tires are getting bald, have them checked. Don't just stew and fret, wondering if they are getting worn. Second, if there's nothing you can do, say your college-age son is driving home over the mountain passes, then say a prayer, give your worry over to God, and find, as Saint Vicente recommends, something practical to distract your mind. Am I a worrier? Has my worry ever solved anything? If I am a worrier, starting today, I will begin to replace my worry with trust that God is taking care of me and those I love. I actually like that because I stress out about the future and stuff, and I'll let it torture me for about a day or two, and then I go, no, I gotta live now. I can't worry about whether they're gonna force me to take a vaccine, whether I'm going to lose my job if I don't take the vaccine, whether it's the mark of the beast, whether it's going to kill me. I don't know. I just put it in God's hands. I stress so much. I usually can go about 2 days on stressing about something, and then after day 2 I go, nope, no more. I'm getting too old for this shit. I can't sleep. I can't eat. It's driving me nuts. No mas stressing. You will not stress me no more. So I think that's good advice. Take that advice. And by the way, like I said, I wasn't shitting on Rogueways. I love Rogueways, but I do think people get caught up in this whole mindset that everything is evil. And I love her to death. She is preaching the bright winter and stuff, but sometimes I watch and I listen and I have to turn it off because it's I feel like it's almost like fear mongering, like everything is evil, everything's evil, and I'm like, dude, I can't handle this shit. It's still good shit. I love it, but you all have a good day. I'll catch you later.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.